A lot of people have left. A lot. There are a lot of women here without husbands, without children. The children leave and they stay there and they become lost.
There are some who leave and they die and never come back.
People that leave die in the desert of hunger and thirst and heat.
What we would like to do is to move forward, to get help so we can get out of this.
Los Ángeles, Radio Única, 1580 AM, con 50.000 watts de potencia.
Over the last century, hundreds of thousands of Mexicans have migrated to the United States in search of a living wage. Working for the rich, they became America's new poor. While their families lived off the dollars sent home, rural Mexicans have paid the price of community and cultural disintegration.
Along LA freeways for the...
Aquí, o sea, estamos en Beverly Hills. Tengo un negocio de la troca.
Here we are in Beverly Hills.
Yo vendo comida.
I have a business, La Troca, serving lunch. It's like a traveling restaurant. A lot of people come who work here. Gardeners, construction workers, cleaning women. Mexicans, Salvadorians, Guatemalans. This is an area of people with money. So they use the services of these people.
Mi pueblo se llama Jaltianguis, Santa María Jaltianguis.
My town is called Jaltianguis, Santa María de Jaltianguis in Oaxaca. Everybody works the land. That's the only way we can survive there. Well, here there are more opportunities. Because here, of course, you earn more.
The 1980s saw an influx of rural Mexicans to California. Thousands of indigenous people made the 3,000-mile trip from the southern state of Oaxaca, many illegally crossing the border to find work in Los Angeles. Gaspar Rivera was one of them. Today, he is a professor at the University of Southern California.
In the early 1980s, Mexico went through the worst crisis of recent history. In Mexico, there was the peso devaluation, the economy was on a tailspin, and the heaviest negative impact was on the countryside. The presidents at that time came up with an economic plan for Mexico, an economic plan that would take advantage of Mexico as a third world country with cheap labor to get inserted into the global economy. However, rural Mexico did not have a place within this new economic model.
Today, the Gala Getza restaurant chain has become the center of the Oaxacan community in Los Angeles. People meet here to organize projects in their villages and send money back home.
Después de haber sufrido todos los problemas de la crisis de México, yo en lo personal tuve que...
After we suffered all the problems of the crisis in Mexico, I personally had to sell my things to begin a new adventure here in Los Angeles without knowing what to do, without knowing where to go. Fortunately, I had a sister who had been living here for 12 years. And between her and I, we started a business, which is this restaurant of Oaxacan food. All Oaxacans care about supporting our communities because we see the standard of living there and we want to help it change a little bit. To support the economy of our homeland, we organize dances, raffles and fêtes to collect funds and send money to our hometowns. We are collecting funds to set up a maguey plant nursery. That's a project we have at the moment. The amount of migration worries me. We leave our villages and we see other ways of life. We worry about the breakdown of our families. We want the wives and children to stay with us in our community. There are people here, friends, who haven't seen their wives or children for 8 or 10 years. And that's not fair. That's not right. We Latinos are the backbone of the economy in California. We are the second highest percentage of population. Without workers like us, the economy wouldn't function.
I come from Oaxaca. I've been here for 1 year and 2 months. We come for a reason. Many of us come to improve our way of life, to offer something better to our families. And I think that's my goal, more than anything. I'm never going to forget my journey here. I suffered a lot, like everyone else suffers when they cross. I walked a lot. That was the only difficult moment that I had. Walking a long time over the mountains, thirsty and hungry.
Every month, Juan Manuel sends $400 through the restaurant money wire service to his father in the Oaxacan village of Zimatlan.
¿Quién recibe su envío? Reciben para mañana por la mañana. Son 532 y su familia va a recibir más. Está bien, está completo.
Para mí sí es importante que.
For me, it's important, the money from there, because I don't work anymore, and we are only 3 in the family. We are not many.
No somos ya muchos. Juan Blanco.
¿Recibe don Celerino?
Sí. Gracias a Dios. Aquí no hay fuentes de trabajo, pues.
Here there are no sources of work. People cannot support themselves, and they want to find another way of life, so they leave to go to another country to change their way of life.
Pues cambien su sistema de vida.
While jobs in the United States bring money back home, the absence of men has led to the breakdown of family life. In Oaxaca's neighboring state of Veracruz, a fall in coffee and papaya prices recently forced the men to migrate. Lucretia and Alicia share a house in southern Veracruz while waiting for their husbands to return.
Hay veces en las juntas o en las asambleas del pueblo, pues ya casi no hay.
Sometimes in the town meetings here there are no men.
Aquí no hay trabajo.
They leave because there are no jobs.
La situación está muy dura.
And the situation is very hard.
Y no nos alcanzaba el dinero.
We couldn't afford to get by. Even now, they earn very little.
Sí, ganan bien poquito.
The first time that he left, he used to send us money, but very little. And now it's the same. He doesn't have a job. One day he works, the next he doesn't. And also, we don't hear from him.
Falta de comunicación.
Sometimes he calls us once a month.
A veces nos habla cada un mes.
And I think that feels rather distant.
Pues ya muy distante. I
was thinking of going to help him out, so I also could earn some money. But it's not possible because I can't leave the children. And it's not easy, because I think he's got another woman, and he's going to stay there.
The children need their father a lot. It's very difficult because you don't get accustomed to it fully. And now he has abandoned us, and we don't know if he's going to come back.
Mami, mi papá está cuicuchi.
Este tu papá. Mira el niño como tiene nieve. ¿Ves? Todo esto blanco es hielo.
Mi papá,
para que lo
ay,
veas.
Papi. Anda trabajando. Este también. Mi papá. Anda cocho. 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 Sí.
The main burden of migration falls on women, and there is a social breakdown that is going to be accelerated. The people, for example the children, or the husbands that come back, have other customs and a different way of thinking. As a result, we don't even know if drug addiction can get worse in this area, not to mention sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS. We've noticed that women are left as the head of the family, but in this area, women are not really accustomed to make decisions. It's not a culture that has educated them to make decisions, to be independent. It is a huge responsibility the women are left with, because if the children behave badly or something like that, then the blame falls on the women, because the women are seen as not doing their job properly. It's not right. It's not fair.
Back in the mountains of Oaxaca, the remaining inhabitants of the village of Haltiangas are celebrating Saints' Day. The town's mayor worries that in the long run his village could disappear.
La preocupación por nosotros es porque mucha gente joven está saliendo.
What worries us is that many young people leave. They finish secondary school and they leave. And everybody focuses their mind on the United States. 60% of the inhabitants of the town have gone to the United States.
Aquí se trabaja duro, pues son
We work really hard here, 8 hours. And over there you work 8 hours too. But they pay you in dollars, $60, $70. And here you only earn $7, $8.
Nosotros como autoridad municipal nos preocupa pues en ver
We town authorities are concerned about setting up income-generating projects so that people can survive here.
Tenemos una mesa directiva en los Estados Unidos.
We have a management committee in the United States, there in Los Angeles.
Y ellos han mandado dinero, pues
They have sent money to support the community.
apoyado bastante a la comunidad
The projects underway are the resurfacing of the municipal plaza,
municipal,
the extension of the health center, the remodeling of our church, which is in a terrible condition, and the construction of a classroom for the kindergarten. But at the moment, I can't tell you about any income-generating projects we have in the future. We have 640 people in this town, but we hope that the population won't vanish. On the contrary, we want to increase the population. We don't want it to disappear.
Some villages have even demanded the return of their citizens from the United States in an attempt to ensure their survival.
I left my town in 1964, bound to Mexico City. I lived there for 7 years, and then we took the adventure to the United States. After 30 years in Los Angeles, the people from my small town, they wrote me a letter that they needed me here because the immigration situation. So many people left town already, and they don't have anybody else to serve the town. They've been doing this for the last couple of years, requesting the guys who are absent and come back. I'm glad that I'm one of the first ones that we are able to do this.
Sí, va a venir por sobre esta semana ya.
I came back to serve my town. The situation here in San Francisco, it's very frightening, let's say. There are a lot of houses, nice houses built, but they're empty. Nobody lives in them. The people who are able to build, they live in California. Every time when one child lives here in San Francisco, the school teacher comes and said, we need more students, otherwise the government will gonna take away another school teacher, and the school population gets smaller and smaller. And yes, we've been talking with the rest of the people who live in Oaxaca City, in Mexico City, and California. We are explaining them, we're making them know the situation before this town becomes a ghost town. We try to convince them to put some money together, come back to San Francisco, start any kind of work that will make them stay. We're only about 300 people here, including children and old people, and we're losing the battle.
For people in Oaxaca, the problem is not just one of diminishing numbers, but also the disappearance of a unique language and culture.
International migration is a challenge. It's the most tremendous challenge that these indigenous communities are facing in recent history. Indigenous peoples in Mexico have survived the colonial period, the conquest period, the emergence of the new Mexico, the modern Mexico. They have resisted. They have kept their language, their culture, their villages, their land. What's going to happen with the future generation in Oaxaca? You need very specific cultural knowledge to survive in this community. All this is knowledge that is being passed from generation to generation. And when there is a strong dependence for survival between the remittances, the dollars that workers send from the United States, there's not an incentive anymore for people who remain behind to work very hard physically to just make ends meet.
Migrants in Los Angeles are now trying to save their culture by funding income-generating projects in Oaxaca. One project supports indigenous production of mezcal, an alcohol made from the maguey plant. Mezcal, now produced industrially, plays a key role in the culture of Oaxaca's Zapotec Indians.
Ahorita estamos hablando del mezcal, que forma parte de la cultura.
Mezcal is part of Zapotec culture, and it's getting lost, just as we Zapotecs have lost our identity.
La identidad que nos da el zapoteco. Una gran mayoría.
The great majority of children in the community don't speak Zapotec.
Es una cuestión triste porque
it's a sad situation, because in the long term, we are going to lose our language, which is almost like our heritage. It's a problem of migration, because so many of the children of many Zapotec people in the United States come back speaking English. And the same thing is happening with mezcal. We are a unique community in the world capital of mezcal. However, that is being lost.
El proyecto del vivero del maguey es un proyecto único porque
the Maguey Nursery project is unique because its main purpose is to help the community and teach young people from an early age that here you can invest, you can also get ahead, and you don't necessarily have to migrate. The idea of our migrant friends to organize this project, starting with the children, is very nice. Because I think only from the roots can we tackle the problem. When children learn as they're growing up the community's way of life, which is growing maguey, then they learn how to love the community and the environment, and then probably we could stop migration.
With the militarization of the border, crossing to the United States has become expensive and dangerous. It can take several weeks to cross the Arizona desert and cost thousands of dollars for the services of a smuggler. Last year, 369 people died from overexposure or drowning. For many Mexicans, crossing the border has become a game of life or death. Every day, people arrive at the Tijuana bus station to try their luck.
In my opinion, they should not leave their homeland. They could lose their life in the mountains just to earn some pesos. It's very difficult. And here they are deceived. They are deceived by the smugglers. They tell them they're going to walk for 3-4 hours, and then they find that they walk for 3 days or more. Some of them come back.
The latest program that the Mexican government is unveiling is that they're going to give emergency kit to immigrants who are trying to cross the border. So they're gonna wait for them in the bus station, and they're gonna be handed Band-Aids, aspirins, and they're investing millions, their dollars, in this program. I think it's just outrageous that they're doing that, because that's not gonna help. And that's not the problem. You know, these people are exposing to these dangers because they don't see any other alternative.
Back in southern Veracruz, the husband of one of Lucrecia and Alicia's neighbors has returned.
Llegamos a la frontera.
We arrived at the border, and there we met the man who was going to take us across to the other side. He seemed very responsible. They locked us in a train, and we were there with many people for 30 hours, locked in there, 30 hours, without drinking water, without moving your body, nothing. We suffered the heat and cold at night until we arrived at Houston. That was the most dangerous experience, the most difficult.
Regresé porque
I came back because the life that I had there was very hard.
es muy trabajosa.
I really love this place, this land.
Esta tierra. ¿Sí?
The question is, what kind of economic development are we pushing for Mexico? Is it an integral model that is having an opportunity for everyone? Instead of looking outward, to looking at what's going to be the place in the global economy, to say what are our needs and what are the needs of our people, and to respond to that.